there. So today, what the Bible says you will be, and God will allow you to go in that direction. Broadway, Broadway, you will hate one another. You will think of new way to do evil. There are people now think of new way in Gaza time to be doing wickedness now. Because
he had checked here. We published what checks before. He denied a signature on those checks. Before 2020 campaign, he's a common criminal. I'm saying that to you. He's a common criminal. That's the budget he voted for. He's a criminal because he lied at $3.6 million in the budget. He can't take me anywhere. I defy him. That's a criminal. No, I'm not angry. I'm being forceful. I'm being intellectual. I'm providing facts. No, I said something I didn't mention it, so they don't know the analysis. He has no integrity in life or integrity. He's in the crisis of integrity. He's drowning in the crisis of integrity. We're not only fake. He's drowning in the crisis of integrity. I think he's a criminal. It's a thief. To take up on $5,000 car in the budget to vote for it, not just to vote for it. And you didn't inform the people because you said everything you will inform the people. It's not record for that. And he didn't say anything about it. Okay, the pastor didn't vote. Well, why he didn't say it? Why he didn't say he voted for it? The records are there, no? Gentlemen. Sir.
I'll tell you this. To be too damn great and good. We elected the Remarkable in 2017 up to 2023. Why does he want to move Trump to be, for example? Why does he want to protect against anybody, for example? You don't know me telling me I'm a principle-minded person. So I told the people that they don't want the money that I'm asking because I need a voice and meaning deputy co-chair. And then we need to account to defend the president, they can pay to them. They have money, so I spend it. Yes, I've been burning my grave, you are burning my own too. So you are in here, you fight me, you fall. But the end of the fight is down.
On the BBC World Service.
evil thing shall die, but they continue to do this very thing. Then I also approve of others to do what? Then to do evil. You see what the scripture say there? You see what the scripture say there? So today, the what the Bible says you will be, and God will allow you to go in that direction. Broadway, you will hate one another. You will think of new way to do evil. There are people now think of new way in Gaza time to be doing wickedness now. Because
he had checked here. We published what checks before. He denied a signature on those checks. Before 2020 campaign, he's a common criminal. I'm saying that to you. He's a common criminal. That's the budget he voted for. He's a criminal because he lied at $3.6 million in the budget. He can't take me anywhere. I defy him. That's a criminal. No, I'm not angry. I'm being forceful. I'm being intellectual. I'm providing facts. No, I said something I didn't mention it, so they don't know the analysis. He has no integrity in life or integrity. He's in the crisis of integrity. He's drowning in the crisis of integrity. We're not only fake. He's drowning in the crisis of integrity. I say he's a criminal. It's a thief. To take up on a $5,000 car in the budget to vote for it, not just to vote for it. And you didn't inform the people because you said everything you will inform the people. It's not record for that. And he didn't say anything about it. Okay, the pastor didn't vote. Well, why he didn't say it? Why he didn't say he voted for it? The records are there, no? Gentlemen. Sir.
I'll tell you this. To be too damn great and good. We elected the Remarkable in 2017 up to 2023. Why does he want to move Trump to be, for example? Why does he want to protect against anybody, for example? You don't know me telling me I'm a principle-minded person. So I told the people that they don't want the money that I'm asking because I need a voice and meaning deputy co-chair. And then we need to account to defend the president, they can pay to them. They have money, so I spend it. Yes, I've been burning my grave, you are burning my own too. So you are in here, you fight me, you fall. But the end of the fight is down.
On the BBC World Service.
When they tell me you will handle it, for me, I know I'm not coming back. More girls, my December girls are in the budget have passed, the budget passed ever since. If I take them a January, February girl, and March girl, or April girl, let it speak. But I need my December girl. If my girl be there until open, they will feel bad about me. Very, very bad. Me, I'm not coming back. I got no regret for what I was doing. You're coming back, I don't get regret for what I will do. I am not coming back, I have no regret for what I will do. Let me let you know today. I will act very aggressive and rude on people for my December gas business. Yeah? Money in the country to get our gas will become problem. And people joking with it. Well, bro, you are our police. We call you, don't want to pick our call. I will disrespect you, you will not believe it. You never bought me, we are all police. You should respect us. That was not told their job to be committee. You want me on committee, your police call, you can't answer? What's wrong with you? We will meet in session. Let my gas be there to open.
I don't think that my group people going to listen to a criminal like you. Thank you.
Give it to us. That you're better today than 6 years ago.
Years ago, and I don't think that my group people going to listen to a criminal.
All right, good evening, good evening. Welcome to the program. Good evening, Liberia, the most independent platform where we discuss the issues, discuss all of the trending issues involving our country, Liberia, and the world around us. My name is Ken Linden Trupa. It's such a pleasure again to be here after the conclusion of the show inside the print media and after several hours of being following many of the development taking place in our country, Liberia. It's such a pleasure and a honor to be seated here to coordinate the affairs of today's broadcast. So, for those of you who are watching this live feed, I would say share the live feed, invite others to join because it is going to actually be a splendid presentation today. So share the live feed, encourage others to join, and let's participate on the program together. Let's do it together. We have done it before, and we can do it again. Let's do it together. Let's keep sharing the live video. Let's keep sharing the live video. Let's keep sharing. Let's keep sharing the live video. Encourage other people to join the program. Good evening, Liberia. It's such a pleasure to be seated here in the. Let's keep sharing the live video. Let's keep sharing the live video. So there are lots of things happening in our country, Liberia. Let's keep sharing the live video. Lots of new things happening in our country, Liberia. Today, the capital, that is where the lawmakers normally convene to discuss issues of national importance, was a scene of attractions here on today, owing to the fact that there were lots of things happening in our country, which of course we will talk about subsequently. But uh, I have some issues, which of course I have been observing this particular issue, and is a matter of fact that we also need to give the people the flowers while they are still alive. You know, it is actually good to actually appreciate those people who you think is making a whole lot of impact in the society. You know, my attention has been drawn to those people who are part of the cleanup exercise uh, for for several days now. There has been a lot of cleanup exercises being conducted by volunteers uh, with regards to providing a facelift for for Montreal County and its environment. And that particular exercise is attributed to be the reason of the beacon beyond the latest improvement in the physical outlook of the region. Uh, and I think those people are actually doing a fantastic job. If you get to Douala, specifically at the Kawa Junction, there used to be a huge stock uh, huge truck of garbage, and they are doing a massive work to ensure that those garbages can be removed. So I watched a video a few days ago where you see the those heavy F equipments try to remove those garbages, you know, try to remove those garbages from them because actually it was actually polluting the entire environment. It was actually polluting the entire environment. There were testimonies from those people, those marketeers, those Liberians who normally use that particular route to the extent that the garbage was actually contaminating the entire environment, polluting the entire place. It was actually a kind of hazard for those of the people who sell there. Imagine you selling maybe a food stuff and the cockroaches, the flies, and other creature, you know, coming from the garbage. You have to be thin. You have to be driving the flies all of the time. You understand? So at least there has been a little progress in that particular direction. There has been a little progress, and their efforts are actually beautiful. What they are doing, I think it is about time that we need to inspire other people, especially those people who are actually doing well. We actually need to inspire them. You know, we actually need to inspire them. With that, we will have, we will have a beautiful society. We will have a beautiful society. So, as I said earlier on, there are lots of new things happening at the Capitol building today. The Temple of Justice and that of the Capitol building was one of the areas of attraction, owing to the fact that it was earlier been reported that the legislature is expected to close on today. But even before then, President Weah, who has earlier decreed or made a proclamations for this, the preparations of the transitional team, because we expect to have a brand new leadership after 20 January 20, January 22nd, 2024. We expect to have a brand new leadership where uh, the agenda of Liberia will be driven by His Excellency President-elect Joseph Human Waka. So there has been a lots of things happening in our country. But a few days ago, while there were several meetings held among the joint presidential transition team, uh, Joseph Nangwe, who was earlier appointed by President George Weah, and after Cabinet Jana was, after Cabinet Jana, some people perceived the impeachment process of Cabinet Jana to be very arbitrary, owing to the fact that during the course of the campaign or during the course of the 2017 elections, he was one of those justices in Timber who had a contrary view, So because of that, the people at the time, the coalitions of Democratic Change government at the time, said that it will be totally, it will be at their risk, at their danger to have Cabinet Janet to occupy that particular position. So it was actually a scuffle, a legal scuffle in which they had to be moving from one court to another court, listening to arguments here and there. But finally, the government succeeded in removing Cabinet Janet. And after Cabinet Janet was removed from the position as one of the justices in Chamber, he was replaced by Joseph Nangwe, who was appointed and confirmed by the Senate. And Joseph Nangwe, after a few years of service, serving as just as one of the justices in chamber. He earlier communicated to the president of his poor health condition, of his poor health conditions. And he earlier communicated, and the president deemed it expedient that since Mr. Nangwe has complained about his poor health condition, it is about time that the justice minister, who is Prime Musa Dane, who has been the dean of the cabinet, to replace him. You understand? So the confirmation, he actually has to go through the process of confirmation. So other people are arguing that, some people have been arguing that the time fraction in which Justice Musa Dane was being nominated, because that is the kind of that is the kind of law, that is the procedure. Whenever a president is nominated, whenever a president makes a nomination, that nomination has to go through a due process, and on the Senate has to assess. The Senate has to ask the hard questions regarding the nominee, the presidential nominee. So after that is what in the Constitution is referred to as the what? The confirmation process, or the confirmation process. So every other persons who were nominated or who were designated, if you choose to say it that way, by the president, went to the Senate for confirmation, went to the Senate so that you can be asked. Sometimes the people they take into consideration your CV, whether you have the kind of capacity, you have the kind of expertise, what are some of those things you have been engaged into prior to your nominations. Those are some of the key issues the lawmaker take into considerations. So that is it. So Frank Musa Dane and Samara Pizza Wolokoli were those individuals who were appointed by the president, and they were actually scheduled for confirmation by the House of Edel, because the Senate is referred to as the House of Edel. You understand? So they were actually meant to go through the process. But again, in the process, few days to the process, to the confirmation hearing of those individuals, the Senate staffers too has been having some internal issues, which of course they needed the people to address. Some of those staffers feared that if we don't raise those issues, if we cannot raise those issues, there is a likelihood if these people go, because the election is over. Many of those guys who participated in the re-election process didn't make it. If we don't put these guys under pressure, if we don't pressure these guys to ensure that we have a redress to this particular situation, we will not really get our compensation. We will not really get our compensation. So these guys have been consistently protesting at the grounds of the Capitol building. They protested for about 4 to 5 days. And even on today, I saw a couple of videos in which they were still protesting. A couple of videos in which they were still protesting at the grounds of the Capitol building. We have been informed that one of the proponents behind the protest, vehicle was set ablaze yesterday evening. So we haven't heard any news from the police, but I want to believe that the police will do everything in their power to launch an hospital investigation into that particular matter. Despite he is the lead proponent of the protest, which of course it is their right to do, because even the Constitution of Liberia calls for protest. It guarantees the right to every Liberian to civilly and to engage into civil disobedience, but it should be done in the confines. It should be done in the confines of the law. You understand? It should be done in the confines of the law. So now that the legislature, we are hearing that today is the last day for the legislature. If those two people, if those two nominees who were earlier nominated by President George Weah, who are scheduled to go before the Senate, the House of Area for confirmation, if those two individuals cannot be confirmed today, uh, there is a likelihood that if the new leadership takes power, if President Joseph Dimabwaka, he could definitely record their confirmation, and he could record their confirmations because they were not appointed. They were not appointed by him, so he could definitely record their appointment and nominate another person. Another thing is that those two people, those persons who will be nominated by the incoming administration to serve into those capacity, we have to go through the very channel. So we hope but the Unity Party also had issues relative to that particular situation. The Unity Party took the issue of rate of prohibition to halt the confirmation hearing of justice designated nominee who could definitely automatically take the position as the justice to replace Joseph Nangui. So on the other hand, at the Temple of Justice, there has been this landmark trial involving former Justice Ministers Gloria Musu Scout and three of her family members. So few days ago, the jurors handed down a guilty verdict. So as per the tradition of the court, there need to be a document from the Ministry of Justice with regards to the correctional facility, and that could inspire the verdict of the judge. So there you have it. The judge on today handed down a life imprisonment verdict of former Chief Justice Gloria Musu Scout. And that particular decision that was taken earlier today by the judge sparked a whole lot of arguments in court, because a lot of people were very shocked about that particular sentence, about that particular ruling coming from criminal court A George Roosevelt Z. Willie. So a lot of people was very, very shocked relative to that particular decision. So let me begin by acknowledging some of those people who are actually watching along with us. We have Morris A. Kruman, I say my boss. We have Amara M. Donzo, he said my leader. So thanks to you, keep sharing the live video. Thanks to all of you, keep sharing the live video, and let's keep glued to the conversation. Let's keep glued to the broadcast. Lots of new things happening in our country, Liberia, and it's important that we need to keep our people informed about it. So today, the landmark murder trial case involving former Chief Justice Gloria Musu Scout and three of her family members were sentenced to lifetime imprisonment. So her lawyers, her team of legal practitioners, her team of legal lawyers representing her interests has since been arguing that even if at all that particular verdict is headed down by whatever the content of the verdict is, they would definitely take an appeal to the Supreme. They would definitely take an appeal to the Supreme Court. So that is it. That is where we are. So we are hoping maybe apparently in the course of days we will hear another development relative to that particular thing. So it left with what are the team of lawyers representing who have since been representing the interest of the former Chief Justice Gloria Musu Scout will definitely take an appeal to the Supreme Court, and provided as to whether their appeal will definitely be accepted at the Supreme Court. One thing you need to understand is that the Supreme Court is the final arbiter of justice in the country. The Supreme Court is the final arbiter of justice in the country. So whatever decision that comes from the Supreme Court, definitely that decision automatically becomes binding. Until then, the Supreme Court and the former Chief Justice and three others will be detained until otherwise orders until amended from the Supreme Court. So that is where we are relative to that particular development. The landmark murder trial has come to a standstill owing to the fact that the former Chief Justice Gloria Mususkau and three others have been sentenced to lifetime imprisonment. And that particular decision was influenced by the jurors who have since been on that case. It was only one of the jurors issued a non-guilty verdict, but all of the other jurors issued a guilty verdict. So that is eight. So let's go over to another developments here from Front Page Africa is January 9, 2024. They say dissatisfaction emerges within Liberia's UP alliance as calls for meeting reportedly go unanswered. So a couple of days ago, there has been a scramble within the Unity Party, within the ranks of the Unity Party. We all know how the Unity Party conducted themselves during the course of the election that was earlier won by then. We all know they needed other people to actually help them throughout the process. That is where we are now. So Front Page Africa is now reporting that this satisfaction is within the Unity Party. So let's give you a gist about that particular development. They say the Unity Party alliance is grappling with internal dissatisfaction as leaked communication revealed a growing rift between the UP Initial Alliance Party and the leadership of the Unity Party. The UP Initial Alliance Party, chaired by Seafold S. Bolu, has reportedly sought a meeting with the Unity Party leadership led by Chairman Reverend Luther Tappe. This request conveyed through two written communications by the Secretary General of the UP Initial Alliance Party. Mr. Augustine Escape has raised eyebrows within the party ranks, while Chairman Tappe acknowledged the receipt of the first communication. The leaked information suggests that he did not respond to the second communication. As of now, Chairman Tappe has not given his approval for the requested meeting, leaving members of the alliance concerned and dissatisfied. The leaked messages highlight the urgency felt within the UP Initial Campaign Alliance Party as they emphasize the need for the Unity Party leadership to live up to the campaign promises within the next 100 days, starting from January 2022-2024. The leaked communication urges unity and a collective effort to fulfill the commitment made towards their campaign, emphasizing the responsibility of the ruling party to lead for the betterment of Liberia. The dissatisfaction within the UP alliance appears palpable, with a call for unity and a reminder that the focus should be on national development rather than personal interests. The messages express concern about potential embarrassment for President Bouakat and his team, cautioning against greed, disrespect, and job-seeking behavior that could tarnish the image of the party. The plea for a meeting of minds is apparent, with a call for open dialogue, sharing of ideas, and solidarity, reminiscent of the campaign period. The leaked messages stress the importance of addressing concern within the party, as well as a perceived shift in their approach after elections. The message hints at a broader dissatisfaction, suggesting the involvement of various stakeholders and the leaders from different sectors play a crucial role in the party's success. There is a plea for the UP leadership to give peace and development a chance, acknowledging the collective effort that brought them to their current position. So what is this issue? So when they talk about the initial UP alliance, it could mean that they are actually talking about. It could be they are actually talking about. They are actually talking about. They are actually talking about the MDR, a portion of the Liberty Party, because those were the initial alliance. Those were the initial alliance. You know, whenever the issues about, like I told you earlier on yesterday, considering the fact that we have few days to the runoff, there will definitely be a lot of recommendations, which of course will be submitted to the office of the president-elect Joseph Diamond Bouakat. And this is where Ambassador Joseph Diamond Bouakat definitely needs to exert leadership. One of the reasons why those parties decided to collaborate with you during the course of the process is because they were doing it for a beneficial reason. Some of them were not mostly concerned about a patriotic stand. They were actually doing it because a lot of them wanted their voice to be heard based upon their proximity with the president or whoever wins the election. So now that the election is over, Joseph Diamond Bouakat has won the elections. You will have recommendations, you will have proposals from Yombli Kanga Lawrence, the Yombli Kanga Lawrence faction. You will have recommendations from the MDR. You will have recommendations from the other parties who came in at the dying minute. And those recommendations, they will be looking up to you with regards how you handle those recommendations, how you go about making decisions that will definitely satisfy them. Why it is true that it is such a difficult decision to make to actually please everybody. regardless of whatever way you decide to go about. But the onus is upon you to exert leadership. Sometimes the decision you take will not just suit everybody. And sometimes it will create a rift within the cordiality or the friendship, the relationship. But again, as a leader of the country, you have the responsibility to also resolve those issues. You have a responsibility to also resolve those issues. Because now, other people will be saying, appoint this particular person to this position. Appoint X, Y, and Z to this position. Appoint this person to the position. But I think the interest of the Liberian people should be way more paramount than our selfish and than our personal interest. You making the recommendations about the president or the vice president or whoever that is should make an appointment. One of the things you also need to be concerned about is the fact that it is the competence issue, the competence indicator. The competence indicator as to whether that person is willing to. Is that person actually competent for the job? Those are key questions. Those are key questions. Is that person actually competent for the job? Is that person willing to abide by the mandate of the president? Is that person will definitely embody the true representation of the president's agenda? Those are key concerns. Those are key issues. But another thing here is that the president has a lot of ways he sees things. And this is why the president has so many advisors. So at times, most of these decisions you see, most of the actions you see the president exhibit, it can be influenced by recommendations, by pieces of advice that were suggested to him by members of the cabinet. You understand? So that is it. So today we are not going to spend much time on the show. Tomorrow will be another fascinating edition of the program. My voice is not that very good, and that is one of the reasons why we are not going to spend much time on the show. We are not going to spend much time on the show because my voice is not very good. It's such a healthy thing. So, folks, the network issues is we are actually faced with a bit of network issues. So, thanks to all of you who are watching along with us. We want to pause for a moment. We want to